So you're not going to find conch everywhere. Actually, it's very difficult to find conch, except if you stay in the Cayman for a few weeks. You may have some conchs. Have you seen conchs before in a shell?
Yes.
And do you know to take it out of the shell? Not really? Okay. So you want to give me also the other conch? So this is a conch, right? It comes like that. You find it in the sand. I mean, it's in the bottom of the ocean for the ones who scuba dive or snorkel. And then you have the animal inside. And to get him out of here, it's very difficult. It's not easy at all. So some of the fishermen use another shell, and they basically bang the shell here, about this point right here, until it breaks. If I do that right now, you're going to be all splattered with conch. So we did a little hole already before. And then when you have the little hole, I have it here, with a knife, or if you have, how do you call it when a screwdriver, you go inside and it's a nerve. You cut the nerve with the knife or with the screwdriver, like that, making sure that you cut it well. And you'll see what's going to happen is that he's coming by himself. He's out, like that. So this is a conch out of the shell which hasn't been cleaned yet. So to clean it, you basically have to peel it. It takes a bit of time. It's very slimy. It's not the most pleasant experience of the process of making a ceviche. I think we have a conch that has been already cleaned, right, Eric?
Yes, yes.
It's right here, okay. So, the conch, not peeled, in its shell, and then after you peel it, it looks like that. You see it's all white, very tender. When it's very fresh, it's very tender. It has a little bit of a consistency though. It's not like mushy. And it becomes mushy when it becomes old. And it's the same with scallops. When you buy scallops, because you can do this dish with scallops actually at home, or if you don't find scallops, you can do this dish, which is a ceviche, with any kind of fish. Really, I recommend white fish, but going back to the scallop and to the conch, you should have a little bit of a firmness. It shouldn't be like all mushy in the mouth. It's not. It means it's a bit old. So for the ceviche, you slice your conch. I have some conch sliced already here. And Eric, you have a bowl for me to mix the conch? Thank you. No. Oh, this one, okay. It's trying to force me to use this one. I'm not going for it. I'm going to put some of the conch inside. So this is really a Peruvian technique that is universal for ceviche. It's a basic ceviche. It's a great appetizer. It doesn't take too much time to make, like the tartare before. We did the tartare in about 15 minutes. For the conch, it's pretty much the same. What I'm going to show you this time, I'm going to show you how to make a julienne. What we call a julienne is when you slice the herbs or anything very thinly. I'm going to show you the technique for it. So I have some mint and coriander. Again, you could use some basil, you could use any herb that you like. But with herbs, you always have to be very gentle. Because, and I'm sure you know that, if you are not gentle with the herbs, they bruise. Same thing. And when they become black, they lose their quality, they lose their flavor, and suddenly you have basically some grass from the field in your plate, and you don't want to do that. So I have some cilantro here. I'm going to slice it with a sharp knife. And I'm going to show you how you do it. We are very careful. We don't press it too much, but we make kind of like a cigar or cigarette with it. And then with a knife, you go like that. And you do it almost at the last minute because it's almost like opening a bottle of perfume or cologne. The fragrance goes away very, very fast. And again, you need good knife skills because if you have a big chunk of herb in your mouth, it overwhelms the palate, and then suddenly you lose completely the flavor that you were trying to have, which is enhancing the conch here. So I'm going to put the cilantro here, and you see it's loose. It's not like wet. have some mint, so I'm going to show you again the practice with mint, although I didn't want to use mint in this dish, but I will, why not? So, the universal method for knives is to make sure that you guide the blade of the knife with your fingers of the left hand if you're right hand. So, the blade is sliding against my fingers here, and they are the guide for the knife, not to go like this, not to go like that. So, in theory, you never cut yourself. Now, this one has the tendency to come out all the time. So you make sure it stays behind. Yeah, not you lose a part of it. As professional chef, we all lost one piece of the finger. So again, and then with the knife, and I don't know where you see the most, but basically you keep the blade on the cutting board and you go back and forth like that. Up and down and up and down. That's what you need to do. And that's movement. Because if you go like that, first of all, it's not good for the knife. It's not precise. You're bruising the herb. And then on top, you're going to cut yourself. You're going to have blood in a ceviche. Yeah.
It's the same one.
So you see, like, my fingers are guiding the blade.
That's the same one. That's the first
And very sharp knife, very sharp blade. And again, we have the julienne that we need. It's going here. So far we have in our ceviche the main product with main protein, which is the conch. I put cilantro because it's traditional. I have some red onion. I'm going to add the onion in it now. We have some ají pepper. So this is a puree of ají pepper that we bring from Peru. If you don't have access to a Peruvian store or South American store, for the spice you can add anything spicy that you have in the house, sriracha if you like, or anything else like. But this one is a Peruvian ceviche, so we're using a little bit of the pepper puree. I like it spicy, so let's go for spicy. Like that. Or you can add some dices of jalapenos. So same thing, the jalapenos are spicy if you use the seeds. If you remove the seeds of the jalapeno, you basically have most of the time the flavor of a green pepper. Once every 10 jalapeno kills you. But the 9 other ones just bring some texture. So we go like that. I'm putting a little bit of extra virgin olive oil this time. And the reason why I'm using extra virgin olive oil is because the conch is a bit firm. It doesn't absorb the oil the way the fish did before with the tartare. And again, the most important thing is at the very, very end, it's to add the acidity to the ceviche. So we're putting a lot of it. And I don't know if you already trying the ceviche or you are you trying the ceviche? Is it good? I made it all by myself. So you have the cocktail with it too?
Still no champagne.
Wait, it's coming. The champagne is for me to be able to do 1 hour without being smashed. I need a fork, Eric, if you have a fork. Thank you very much. So then you're mixing all the ingredients together like that, like I'm doing now. And in between the oil, the salt, which I didn't put, I think. Let's see. That's why it's so important to taste. You see, I forgot the salt. The salt. We don't need white pepper. We have enough spiciness. The salt, the oil, and the lemon juice are going to extract a lot of the juice of the conch. And I'm just going to have to plate it on the bowl, and we're going to have a second appetizer, which is very simple. And then, so that you do it at the last minute, so maybe 10 minutes before the guests arrive. It's no fancy preparation and no fancy presentation on this dish. It's just like that. It's very healthy. In Peru, actually, they do that when they have hangover. So I'm using a little bit of the juice, just like that. And the juice is called leche de pantera, which means the milk of the panther. And supposedly it gives you the kick to go back for the day, after the hangover. Yeah. So, appetizer number 2, the ceviche. So we have the tartare, the ceviche, and we're going to go to the number 3 now. So the number 3, it's a carpaccio. And very often people ask me, how do you make a carpaccio? Do you freeze the tuna? Do you freeze, if it's a meat carpaccio, do you freeze the beef? It's a mystery for a lot of people. And do you slice the tuna very thin? But you never slice it thin enough. We obviously don't freeze the fish because at Blue or at Le Bernardin we have only fresh fish. And I'm going to show you a technique that it's a very good technique, and it's not very often that you will see that technique. So I'm happy to share that with you today. We have a beautiful piece of tuna here, yellowfin tuna, because the bluefin tuna is on the verge of being extinct, so we don't use it. When you have tuna, this is the perfect color. It shouldn't be too red, because if it's too red, it means it's a lot of blood. He hasn't been killed properly, and it will be too much blood in it. It will be too strong. If it's brown, like a chocolate color kind of, it means your tuna has been in a store for at least 3 weeks, and they will have no problem to sell it to you. So you have to be focused and make sure that this is the color you get. If you have a good fishmonger or a good market, it's easy to find. Then what we're going to do, we are going to slice a thin piece like that of the tuna. It's probably 1/4 of an inch, maybe a bit more. You took all my knife. Okay. So we are going to cut like that. Thinly. So you see, it's not too thin. And this preparation has to be done a little bit early, because the tuna has to be very cold if you want to be able to plate. So let me show you that, Eric, 2 seconds. What we do, so I slice the tuna, as you can see. What we do, we use, how do you call that, plastic film or saran wrap or something? Saran wrap, okay. We use a cutting board, and then any oil will go, huh? We'll do anything. It's not for the flavor. It's just to make sure that the plastic sticks to the table, and then you bring the plastic film like that. Well, you can remove it, Eric. You can remove that. I'm putting it here. I'm making sure it's going to stick to the cutting board. And I'm going to put the tuna inside, right here. You want to give me another sheet of... So you can have little pieces like this. You can have a big chunk like that. I'm going to add another one. We're going to put it here. And then you cover it with another sheet of plastic on top. Just like that. And you need a pounder. So this is a pounder. If you don't have one, the hammer will do, but it's not going to be the same. So now we're going to test, see if the table is going to be able to handle it. And you go like that, and you pound it. Trying to bring the tuna the same level of thickness and the pieces together at the same time. So sometimes you have to slide a little bit like that, sometimes you just hammer it. Okay. So this is easy to find in any store.